Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Brews. I am Commander Claw. Welcome all you new Magic players, old Magic players, players that are just looking for something new, players that are looking for some other ideas. That's what Breaking Brews is all about. Today's video is about Magus Lucea Kane from the Warhammer set, one of my favorite commanders, even though I say that for all commanders, but Teamur is a special color pip for me because I think this type of commanders are very rare and actually pretty hard to play with. Let's go right into Magus Lucea Kane. One color is green, blue, and a red. It's a 1/1 human tyrannid wizard. The abilities are Spiritual Leader. Okay, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Second ability is Psychic Stimulus. Tapper. Add 2 colors mana. When you next cast a spell with X in its mana cost or activate an ability with X in its activation cost this turn, copy that spell or ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. Okay, so first of all, what are her strengths? Her strengths are copying X spells. Her second strength is she's like a soul ring. She's a soul ring that rewards you to copy spells. Okay? And she buffs creatures. And those buff effects are +1/+1 counters. And it's not temporary. Her only weakness is she's a 1/1. Yeah, there's a reason why she's a 1/1 because if she was a 3/3, started at a 3/3, she'd be very formidable. What y'all need to know about this commander is X spells are devastating. X spells are devastating. That's why she has this range of low power, easy to kill, with a high upside. Okay, so let's look into cards that can be rewarding. Obviously, we're going to go with X spells, but stay tuned. I got more stuff to talk about, such as abilities with X spells that your players are underestimating. Okay, cool. This segment is called Increase the Value. We want to increase the value of these X spells. These X spells could be instants, sorceries, enchantments, artifacts, whatever, just spells. When you double a spell, when you copy a spell, the effect is 2 times more powerful. Don't underestimate the power of one. That is my new slogan because that one makes a difference. How many times have you said, if I had one more mana, I could have? Exactly. Okay, so the card we have is Hell to Pay. It's a new card from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I just like how that sounds. Outlaws of Thunder Junction? How did they think of that? Anyways, it's an X spell with X and red. Sorcery. Hell to Pay deals X damage to target creature. Create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this turn. Wow. So this is with Magus Lucea Kane. Double the damage if you target one creature, right? And pretty much if you kill the creature with the first, ooh, you're able to make a lot of treasure tokens if you don't kill this creature. If you do kill the creature on the second Hell to Pay, the copied Hell to Pay, you want to cast this card and be rewarded for. You want to use this card objectively. You want to create treasure tokens. This is almost like a mana geyser, but it kills a creature. This is a really good card. Target on creatures that are somewhat strong enough to survive the first one, but you're going to be rewarded for killing it with the second Hell to Pay. So I guess I really want to explain this a little bit further, right? So let's say you have a 3/3 creature you want to target and kill. You cast Hell to Pay for 4, right? And you have Magus Lucea Kane. So you make a copy of it, right? So you're going to be doing 4 damage from Hell to Pay from each one. So that's a total of 8. I should have made the creature a 5/5. So the creature is 5/5, right? So the first Hell to Pay does 4 damage to the 5/5. The second 4 damage from the hell to pay to the creature does 4 damage, right? So that means the 5 minus 4 is 1. Then the additional 4, you're going to be making 3 treasure tokens. That's a good rate. That's a good rate. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. I was supposed to go to the next slide. Yeah, I'm not even going to go into it. This is a really good card. Take a chance to read over it. Let me know in the comments if I was wrong, but I highly doubt it. Let me know. Next card we have is Rampaging Yaay. Rampaging Yaay. That's how you say it. I took a little bit of Mandarin back in my day. Rampaging Yaay. Okay, it is X and 3 green. It's a bear mutant. Vigilance Trample. Rampaging Yaay. Rampaging Yaay enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. When Rampaging Yaay enters the battlefield, destroy any number of target artifacts or enchantments with total mana value X or less. So cool. This is a nice board wipe for enchantments and artifacts. And granted, if you cast it the first time, the first one that resolves is going to take care of most of your problematic enchantments. You could just have 2 powerful bear mutants with Vigilance Trample. This is just a good creature to create a powerful board state, and it's almost like a pseudo controlled lopsided board wipe to get rid of those pesky artifacts and enchantments. That's why I like this card. I do want to just highlight that it has vigilance and trample, so don't underestimate if you only make it enter with 3 +1/+1 counters. That means it could be a 5/5 with vigilance and trample, and if you copied it with Magus, you got 2 5/5s with vigilance and trample. That's powerful. Next up, we have Doppelgang. This is tricky. I know when you see all these X costs, it is tricky. I found a way to simplify it. Trust me, I've read the mathematics for Crackle with Power so many times. I can tell you how to look at triple X's, okay? Doppelgang, triple X, blue and a green, sorcery. For each of X target permanents, create X tokens that are copies of that permanent, okay? So, you saw the 3 X's, right? That means 3 mana targets one thing. So it's going to cost a total of 5 mana to target one thing. Then 3 additional for the second target, 3 additional for the third target, which is a total of additional 9 mana on top of the 2. So that's 11 mana. That's how you got to look at it. So back to for each of X target permanents, if you want to target 2 target permanents, how much mana will that cost y'all? 6 plus 2 is 8. It's going to cost you 8 mana. And you get to create 2 tokens that are copies of that permanent. So you're getting a lot of tokens. The mathematics is crazy on this, right? So you got 2 creatures. You want to target those 2 creatures and create 2 tokens that are copies of that creature. So you're getting 4 tokens total of that one permanent. I mean, actually, of those 2 permanents, of those 2 permanents. Then when you copy this spell, it's double that. So those 2 target permanents you copied, you're getting an 8 total additional tokens. Crazy, crazy, crazy. This can get ugly. This is a really good spell. And what's beneficial about it is it's any permanent. So that means enchantments, artifacts, creatures, can't be planeswalkers because they're legendaries. But you get my point here. You get my point. Even treasure tokens, if you're needing need mana. And what's uglier is you can make land. Yeah, it says target permanents. So you can copy somebody's land. Your land. I can't imagine what land you would copy, but it's out there. Okay. Next segment is 2 times the effect, 2 times the card draw. What we're going to be doing here is drawing cards, but it's not obvious, right? Or doubling the effect of something. And let me just get into the cards. First card we have is Refocus for 2 mana, a generic and a blue. It's an instant. Untap target creature, draw a card. So, if you copy this with Magus Lucea Kane, you're going to be drawing 2 cards. But you want to cast this when she is tapped. Okay? And this gets real ugly because you're tapping, you're going to tap her again to cast another spell because you got 2 additional mana for her. So, damn. So tap her, add 2 mana, cast a spell, tap this, draw 2 cards, untap her, put the ability on the stack, untapping her as a response, untap her again. You see where I'm going here? This gets real ugly, and it's at instant speed. So it's really up to you how you want to really devastate your opponents. It's use this for spells to double up spells because you get to untap Magus Lucea Kane. Next up we have is Forensic Researcher. For 3 mana, 2 colors and a blue, it's a 1/3 Merfolk Detective. It has tap, untap another target permanent you control. It also has tap, collect evidence 3. Tap target creature you don't control. To collect evidence, you need to exile cards with total mana value 3 or greater from your graveyard. So what I like about this card, it is able to untap Magus Lucea Kane, so you can tap her again for more mana. But you get to control your opponent's creatures. Tap them down. They can't attack you. Or they can't activate abilities if you tap them. This is a really good card for you able to do both. Next segment is Be Extreme. And when I say extreme, I hope you get the pun. X in the X mana cost. Yeah, let's go. We have Electrodominance. X 2 red. It's an instant that says Electrodominance deals X damage to any target. You may cast a card with converted mana cost X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Okay, so the objective is this card is to deal damage and put a free card into play, depending on the mana cost. That is a 2 for 1. So if you copy this, it is a 4 for 1. So if you have a loaded hand, you want to play this card to put all those cards as your hand into play. Or just or onto the stack, because you probably can't play creatures at instant speed unless it says so. Flash. This is a really good card. It's just another powerful card. X cards, X mana cost spells are powerful, and they really are backbreaking. Copying spells is backbreaking. You'll be surprised. I was supposed to actually show the side. Moving on. Okay, we have Unbound Flourishing. 2 colors and a green. It's an enchantment that reads, whenever you cast a permanent spell with a mana cost that contains X, double the value of X. Okay. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell or activate an ability, if that spell's mana cost or that ability's activation cost contains X, copy that spell or ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. So yeah, there's another enchantment that can copy your X spells. So not only are you copying your X spells with Magus, you have an enchantment that's going to copy your X spells. So if Magus is unable to be on the battlefield and use her abilities, you have a backup. Unbound Flourishing. That's the way I look at this spell. What makes it even more devastating is if it's a permanent spell, it says whenever you cast a permanent spell with a mana cost that contains X, double the value of X. So if X is 5, X will be 10. Okay. Then the second ability reads whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell. Oh, sorry. Anyways, moving on. Moving on. I'm about to give you a land that has an X spell in it, X cost in it. Kessig Wolf Run. Tap it 4 colors. Then it has an X ability, X, green, and a red. Target creature gets +X+0 and gains trample. Okay. So you can add +5 to a creature and double it, that's +10. You may not kill nobody with your Commander, actually, you could. You could. You really could. Add a little double strike on that. They won't see that coming. But it is a little mana heavy and its cost. Okay. Throwing more power on the board. That's what Teamur's going to do. You want to throw power on the board. Power, power, power. To be honest with you, I like throwing power on the board, but I don't like being a target. I don't like losing a big, powerful creature to a Swords of Plowshare, right? That doesn't feel good. So, in general, I kind of have this balance of these mid tier creatures that can stay on the board and not a threat, and have my opponents throw big answers on the board or big creatures on the board and they get exiled. So, I like to stay in this mid range game. But I also do play a game where if I'm able to throw power, 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 and just overwhelming you with power, I could win the game. Shiro Devastator does that, right? It is a X spell dragon, flying haste. It enters the battlefield with X plus one counters on it. So if you use it with Magus, you're getting 2 copies of these, or 1 copy. So you get 2, let's say 6/6 dragons with flying and haste. Those are haymakers, man. Haymakers. What you need to know, Magus Lucea Kane, you're throwing haymakers in a color scheme that doesn't get to do it. I wouldn't say it doesn't get to do it often. It is a nice blend of creatures and enchantments. Teamur is that. It's a powerful color scheme, and they don't make enough Teamur colored commanders. That's the reason why, because it's actually pretty fun. Moving on. Moving on to bulk box finds. What do you need to know about these bulk box finds? These are cards that you can add to your Magus Lucea Kane deck. If they're not in the pre-con, why not give them a try? Anyways, moving on. First card I have is Instill Energy. It's not common to find an ability on green that gives it haste. There's an enchantment aura that says enchanted creature has haste. Um, also, what's cool is Instill Energy allows you to untap the creature for free. So, if you have this attached to Magus Lucea Kane, you tap her for her mana rock ability slash copy spell ability, right? Right. Oh, just untap her for free with Instill Energy attached to it. Best part is it only costs green. So you're able to add 4 mana, copy a spell once, copy a spell twice. 3 of those spells are on the stack. Ooh, or ability is on the stack. This is a really good card. You might find this somewhere in a garage sale or buy it online for like 50 cents. What you waiting for, players? Next up, we have Vatric Astral Archmage. Is a commander. 1 color, red and a blue, legendary human wizard. The goal of this guy is to reduce the mana cost in your X spells, right? So let me read what he does. If it's neither day or night, it becomes day as Vadric enters the battlefield. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost X less to cast, where X is Vadric's power. Whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, so I'm going to maximize this view. And what's going to happen here is you want to make them stronger. So generally, day and night mechanic is kind of slow. So if it starts off as day, you get to put a +1/+1 counter when it enters the battlefield. So he becomes a 2/3. The only way it becomes night is when a player plays, I believe, 2 or more spells on that turn. So then it becomes night. Okay. Then a player has to not play a spell for it to become day. That's how day and night works. Comment below if I'm wrong and let us know, because there's other people who are watching this and they love your input and they need to read these comments. Anyway, the stronger he is, the cost reduction of your mana cost spells, especially instants and sorceries. Easy as that. So if you have a 5 power Vadric, your X spells cost 5 less. That's pretty much 5 free mana that's already built into the mana spell. I'm not sure if y'all play with Hinata, but yeah, that's what the same concept is going on here. Okay, next up we have is Goreclaw, Terror of Qual Sisma. What I want to show you with this guy is just a utility factor for your creature spells, right? He says creature spells you've cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast. All those X spells, big creatures like the Shivan Devastator, cost 2 less to cast. So they come in with automatically with 2+1/+1 counters if Goreclaw's out. Whenever he attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. So imagine that Shivan Devastator flying haste and trample, and he's a 6/6. And you made a copy. So that's 2 6/6s with flying haste and trample. Good luck if a player has something to stop that. The reason why it's good to make copies of this, because most likely a player only has one Swords to Plowshare in their hand, and they've been holding on to it for dear life. Make them use it. But they get rid of one, they still got another 6/6 flying Shivan Devastator with trample they got to deal with. Put power on the board with Teamur, Magus Lucea Kane. That's what this pip does. Don't be shy to try. I think the next video I will add is creative protection spells for her. She's just so weak. She's a 1/1. At the beginning of your combat, you put a +1/+1 counter on her, right? So when you put a +1/+1 counter, she just becomes a 2/2. So there's a level of commitment in protecting her. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and share it with somebody that's looking to build this deck. Otherwise, if you want to stay in touch with Commander Claw, your boy right here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave any comments that you feel is necessary. Thank you for your time. Peace.